He was at home waiting for us to be alone, and he asked me if I thought he was my uncle. I didn't think it mattered. I just wanted to enjoy the experience. Is there something wrong with that? I'm a free woman, just like anyone else. I was at my aunt's house, but she was out shopping. She needed to get some things to prepare dinner, so I was left alone with my uncle. That's when things got interesting. After my aunt went out, I decided to stay in the living room. I was lying on the couch watching TV and had nothing better to do. So I thought it would be a good way to pass the time until my aunt came back with the groceries for dinner. Just as I was about to put on a series, he came on. Yes, my uncle, he appeared, out of nowhere, as if he had been waiting for when he finally showed up. He looked at me with that mischievous smile he always has when he sees me, and said something that left me speechless. We have to make the most of the fact that we're alone now. What a suggestive comment. I wasn't sure if I was ready. I was waiting for her answer, but part of me knew what she meant after his comment. We stood there in the living room, looking at each other with a mixture of intrigue and flirtation. It was as if we were analyzing the possibilities, gauging the terrain, before taking the next step. He was so direct, I joked, trying to keep my cool while inside I was dying to accept his proposal. He let out a soft chuckle and something sparkled in his eyes. You still have a lot to discover about me. He replied with a mischievous smile. I replied with a playful smile, teasing at the double meaning in his words. Trust me, he said, leaning in a little closer as if sharing an intimate secret. I know you want it too. It'll be our little secret. I bit my lower lip, feeling the tension between us intensify. There was something about the way he spoke, the way his eyes looked at me, that made me want to venture out. Well then, what are you waiting for? I challenged with a playful smile. Show me everything you've got hidden. So he continued, hinting for a while, setting the mood for what was about to happen. After our chat, something shifted. The air was charged with excitement. I watched my uncle approach the door and lock it. I got a chill as I realized what he was doing. He was making sure no one could interrupt us. I wasn't far behind. I pulled the curtains closed, making sure we had privacy. I wanted this to be just between us. There was no evidence, and then at that moment I knew what was going to happen next. I didn't need words to understand, because the tension spoke for itself. I was about to cross a line and have an affair with my own uncle. It was exciting and terrifying at the same time, but a part of me was looking forward to it. The time flew by. We were there lying on the couch for a good 30 minutes. I won't go into details, but let me tell you, it was an experience I won't soon forget. We shared a moment that kept us in a state of ecstasy for that entire time. My uncle proved to be quite the stud. He showed off his skills in a way that left me in awe. No wonder he has been able to capture my attention since I was a teenager. I can't help but feel a bit satisfied, remembering that shared moment after those intense 30 minutes. When we came back to reality, we looked at each other with a mixture of satisfaction and complicity, knowing that we had shared something unique and special. We rearranged the couch as if we were erasing the traces of everything that had happened a moment ago. Then, with an accomplished smile, my uncle opened the door and left the curtains. After the experience, my uncle decided to take a shower to hide what had happened before my aunt came back with the shopping for dinner. I sat on the couch watching TV with a smile on my face, thinking over and over in my mind what had just happened. The images of that moment were still so vivid that I found it hard to concentrate on anything else. It was a sensational experience that I will never forget. Every time I closed my eyes, I could feel his presence. If I was reliving every moment together, I knew I had to come back to reality at some point, but I felt a lot of adrenaline from what I had experienced with my uncle. Then I heard the sound of water running in the shower, letting me know my uncle was in the bathroom. Nothing could get the smile off my face. I was happy, satisfied, and full of adrenaline. I was sitting on the couch with a silly grin as I waited for my aunt to return and find us. After that intense moment, my uncle came out of the shower and returned to the living room. We went back to the room as if nothing had happened. We looked at each other briefly, both of us aware of the intensity of what we had just experienced, but neither of us mentioned a word about it. It was as if we had come to an agreement, a pact of silence between us. We didn't need to say it out loud, but we both knew that what had happened was something we wanted to keep between us, at least for the time being. After all, Some things are best kept secrets. My aunt had returned. She entered the house laden with shopping bags, oblivious to what but had happened while she was away. When she arrived, it was like we were suddenly brought back to reality. We hurried to act as if nothing had happened. Luckily, my aunt didn't seem to suspect anything. She was focused on preparing dinner, organizing the ingredients, and overseeing every detail with her usual dedication. I joined her in the kitchen, offering to help with whatever was needed. My uncle discreetly disappeared to mind his own business. As we peeled vegetables and stirred about pots, I couldn't help but feel a slight discomfort. It was as if I were carrying a secret that weighed heavy on my shoulders. I looked at my aunt was completely unaware of what had happened while she was away, and I wondered how she would react if she knew the truth. But at the same time, I also felt a strange sense of relief. Everything had gone well, so as I helped my aunt in the kitchen, I tried to keep a smile on my face and hide the emotions that kept bubbling up inside me. I couldn't help but think about every detail of our encounter in the living room. But I knew it was best to keep those memories to myself at that moment. I was aware that I was cheating on my aunt. Keeping things from her would change her perception of everything. But at that moment, in the midst of the adrenaline and excitement, I couldn't stop myself. All I wanted was to enjoy myself and have a good time, no matter the consequences. Women are like that. When we feel that need, that tingle that drives us to do anything, it's hard to stop. We get carried away by our cravings regardless of rules or external judgments. We just want to live in the moment and enjoy the passion that consumes us. So there I was, experiencing something new. I knew I was risking a lot by ruining my aunt's marriage if I ever found out the truth. But at that moment, none of that mattered. I let go of all my inhibitions and worries and gave myself over completely to the need. I let it all happen because at that moment, that was all. I decided to enjoy myself as much as possible and not to dwell on the past. Now that the moment has passed and reality has returned, I still feel like I made the right choice. In that instant, I felt like a woman in a way I had never experienced before. I still visit my aunt. As usual, our family gatherings continued as if nothing had changed, with laughter, talks, and moments together. What my aunt doesn't know is what happens in her house when she is away. When my aunt closes the door and leaves everything, my uncle and I have our encounters. We always get the chance to do it again and again. It's a secret ritual, a clandestine adventure that we share. We let ourselves be carried away by passion and adrenaline without guilt or visions. I know I'm cheating on my aunt, but I can't help it. But we do it. Our encounters are intense, full of danger, adrenaline, and promise. I do feel a little guilty, sometimes, but every time I go to my aunt's house, the temptation is too strong for me to resist. When two people share, it's intense. It's hard to leave it behind sometimes. When we're in the middle of it with my uncle, I get a chill. I'm afraid my aunt might catch us at any moment. The excitement and risk add a special flavor to our relationship.